Psychic YouTuber. I run a psychic YouTube channel as a hobby. It's a small channel with less than 2,000 subscribers, but I have a few regulars and I get comments frequently. I film alone after work, go home, edit, and post. It's tedious, but fun. I have always loved visiting haunted places, and when I was a student, I often drove around late at night with my friends. But I myself have no psychic sense at all, and to be honest, I thought such things were just entertainment to enjoy myself being scared. So, most of the bizarre phenomena in the video were, well, faked. During the filming, I put half of a mannequin's head at the end of the corridor, and added the sound of the wind in the editing. But that's what they get. When I get comments like, "There's someone standing at 2:14, or I heard a voice at 5:48, I can't help but grin. Then one day, I decided to visit an abandoned ryokan that I had heard rumors about on the internet. It was in the mountains in a neighboring prefecture, and had been run by a couple in the past, but they had fallen on hard times, apparently. The inn's innermost room on the second floor was said to be particularly dangerous. When I arrived at the site, the building was more solid than I had expected. It was an old wooden 2-story building. There was a lot of graffiti on the walls of the first floor, as if someone had come here to test their courage. Photography was as usual. I took pictures of myself and my surroundings at the same time with an inside camera and an outside camera, and combined them in editing. This time, I brought with me the item that I had been told would make a good shot. A mannequin's head. Just a little reflection in the back of the dimly lit corridor is enough to get the comments section excited. There was nothing unusual while we were on the first floor. There was a chill in the air, but that's how it is in an abandoned house deep in the mountains. The problem was the second floor. We went up the stairs and proceeded down the hallway. I looked at the rooms on either side of me, but they were all very similar. However, the room at the far end was the only one where I put my hand on the door and felt a strange weight on my finger. As soon as I put my hand on the door, I felt a strange weight on my fingertips. It should have the same structure as the other rooms, but for some reason it wouldn't open. It was as if someone was restraining me from entering the room from the inside and refusing to let me in. When I pulled with force, it suddenly became so light that I lost my balance and dropped the light and camera. The light from the light illuminates the inside of that open room. In a moment, the air changed. It was so dilapidated that it was hard to believe it was in the same building as the other rooms. The walls were peeling, the tatami mats were rotting, and the air was heavy. A fresh smell clung to my throat, and yet, there is no graffiti. There is no trace of any mischief like on the first floor. It was as if everyone felt that they were not allowed to touch this place, the pressure of silence. My instinct was telling me to run away. Still, I gave priority to the shot. I took a few steps into the room and continued shooting. I had chills while I was shooting, but I finished to some extent and headed home. That night, when I was editing the video, I noticed something strange. The color of the video was different only in that room. I didn't notice it when I was filming, but when I looked at it through the editing software, it was as if the screen had become thin and rotten, and there was a quiet, blotchy weirdness to it. And that video, which was posted the next morning, was growing at an unprecedented rate. Once the live feed began, the chat section continued to flow at an unusually fast pace. A viewer said, "It was the scariest thing I've ever seen. It was real. It's a fake. Was the mannequin head and the edited voice really that scary?" I thought so. But the comments that followed caught my attention. "I'm following you from behind." Behind you? In a panic, I opened my video during the delivery and skipped to the scene in the room in the example. On the screen, I leave the room and start walking down the hallway. I take a few steps forward, and at that moment, something came out from the back room. A woman. Her hair is wet and sticky, and her face is colorless rather than white. Skinny cheeks, a smile that seemed to split open. She was following behind me, slowly, but perfectly. And it was smiling at the camera. The corners of its mouth were lifted up to its ears, and its eyes were wide open, staring at the camera without blinking. Goosebumps won't stop. My sweaty hands made the mouse slide. Still, I was in the middle of delivering the message, so I tried to reassure the viewers by smiling and saying, "Well, were you surprised?" "No," I said with a smile to reassure the viewers. "Were you surprised?" That was a fake. I just did a little editing. The comments shook with relief and disappointment, but shortly thereafter, the chat section filled up with one word. "Behind you. I'm behind you. I'm still watching." For a moment, the screen was disrupted. What the hell is this? You've got to be kidding me. I raised my voice, yelled, and forced the delivery to end. I checked the room as I ransacked it. No one was there. It's natural. It couldn't be. But before I went to bed, I suddenly opened the delivery archive. I knew what I was doing. I shouldn't look at it. I opened it. The video played. I was mute on the screen. Mouth open, trembling, eyes wide open, I was frozen. And then, behind the screen, behind me, there was that woman. And this time, she wasn't smiling. The corners of her mouth, which had been up to her ears, drooped abnormally, and her eyes were hung up, as if they were split vertically. Was she angry? The next moment, the person on the screen, reflexively looked back. Close range. The woman's face and eyes met perfectly. I haven't noticed, I didn't say anything when I should have been yelling at the comment, even though it was so close. I just got scared and cut off the delivery. In reality, I threw my phone. I couldn't see anything in the pitch black room. I put my hand on the door to escape, but it wouldn't open. Obviously, I could feel that I was being held from the outside. Don't do it. I wondered how long it had been since the door I banged on while streaming finally opened. I go out into the hallway as if to fall in. But when I looked up, there was a woman standing in the back of the room. She is illuminated by the streetlight through the window. She was walking toward me, slowly shaking her head and laughing, just as she did in the video. But the closer I got to her, the more her face fell apart. Anger, resentment, madness. A look of anger, resentment, and madness, all crushed into one. The woman stood in front of me and slowly moved her face closer to mine. I was sure I heard her in my ear. "I won't let you get away with it." The next morning I collapsed in front of my room. Nothing was there. It should have been. Since that day, I quit YouTube. I haven't watched the videos, the comments, the live shows, everything. I feel like I'm seeing him on there somewhere again. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to the end.